Was lucky to escape further disaster as he attempted to get back on course. At the same bend, Donnelly's Lotus lost a wheel, which bounced off the Brazilian's car.
Despite the high prices, the grandstands were full on race day, but the crowds were going to have to be patient. Many have criticised the Formula One start at Spa, which leads straight into a hairpin. The critics were to see their complaints justified in the opening minute as Piquet's Benetton went sideways under braking and pushed Mansell's Ferrari into the rails. The Lotuses had been involved too. Warwick had taken to the grass to avoid the confusion up ahead, and then he was hit by teammate Donnelly, who had himself been shoved. There were some concerns for Nigel Mansell as he held his wrist in the cockpit of the Ferrari, and the marshals attended to him, but he got out okay. Up front, Senna sped off into the distance, unaware that still more carnage meant the red flags would have to come out. Modena had ripped a tyre on impact with Nakajima's Tyrrell, and sure enough, the race was stopped. 2 more drivers for T-cars, please.
Start number 2 appeared to be faultless as Senna made the best of his pole position to pull away from his teammate and the close attentions of Prost and Boutsen. There was a spot of bumping and grinding at the source, but everyone seemed to have made it round, and Boutsen, having made a brilliant start, was up into second and hassling Senna for the lead, ignoring Berger's pincer movement. But it was all to no avail after Barilla crashed heavily at Eau Rouge, completely destroying the Minardi in the process. The Pasta Air escaped with only minor injuries. It wasn't a happy day for the Minardi team. Their other driver, Pierluigi Martini, span after the second start, taking Andrea de Cesaris's Dallara with him. Amazingly, both survived to take part in start number 3.
Out came the oil and red flags with debris and lubricant littering the track. Barilla's Minardi had left a gaping hole in the Armco. The marshals and organisers worked overtime to try and get the event back on schedule. Start number 3. Donnelly, having commentated for the BBC on start 2 with Warwick in the T-car, had managed to get back in his original car, this time after sterling work by the Lotus mechanics. Again, Senna led into the hairpin. Berger maintained the McLaren 1-2 this time, with Prost and Boutsen forced to hold their grid positions. Then came Patrese and the Benetton pair, with Nannini ahead of Nelson Piquet. Mansell was 9th, passed by Alesi's Tyrrell, and Gugelmin took Nakajima's Tyrrell to move into 13th position.
Mansell pitted on lap 11, complaining wildly about oversteer on the car which had been set up for his teammate. He dropped from 10th to 16th place and retired for good 8 laps later.
The camera on board Boutsen's Williams gave a good view of Prost's move past Berger on lap 14 to take second place. Soon afterwards, Berger pitted for fresh tyres, which handed the Belgian 3rd place. Patrese's race came to an end with a dud gearbox on lap 18. And a miserable home Grand Prix came to a premature end for his teammate 3 laps later. Again, the gearbox was to blame.
The race was between the men at the head of the championship race. They both pitted for tyres on lap 22, and it became a duel of the pit crews. But Senna rejoined in first, while his rival lost out on second to Berger.
But Senna only just held on to his lead, squeezing out in front of Nannini. For the second race running, the Benetton driver was proving to be the race leader's major headache. But Alain Prost was the man with most to gain from overhauling Ayrton Senna, and he started out on his challenge for the lead by removing Nannini from second place with a copybook manoeuvre going into the bus stop chicane. Nannini on his original tyres had been trying to go the full distance.
Gerhard Berger thought he would follow Prost's example shortly afterwards, and for a few seconds it looked as though he'd got away with it. But the young Italian belied the baldness of his tyres to reclaim 3rd position almost before he'd lost it. The pair provided the best entertainment of the race from then on in, as Nannini fought to maintain his advantage on old rubber. On lap 41, he almost lost the Benetton completely at Eau Rouge, and the loss of momentum handed Berger 3rd place.
Up ahead, Senna had never been troubled by his Ferrari rival. He drove comfortably to the 25th win of his career, his 2nd race in a row, and a further dampener to Ferrari hopes of wresting McLaren's crown. Senna now had 5 wins to Prost 4, with the battle as hot as ever. On the podium, the absence of feeling between Senna and Prost was evident, but at least Gerhard was in the mood to party. Now Ferrari hopes pointed towards the force of crowd power at the next race, their home event, the Italian Grand Prix. And Prost, trying to get to Monza as quickly as possible, had to be restrained by President Bélgica.